And it's lights out.
Welcome back to Drive Thru Penalty. I'm Sean. I'm here with my father, Craig, as always. And this is the last episode of the year. I can't believe we're here. We've made it through an entire season. It's been an absolute blast. But stick around for this video because we have a lot to talk about. If you didn't watch what happened in Qatar, we'll fill you in because some crazy stuff happened. And of course, we're going into Abu Dhabi for the season finale. And if you haven't watched the episodes, we also do a lap in the sim, so you guys get a feel for what the track feels like. But boy, oh boy, let's just get right into this one.
Complete self-destruct at McLaren. I was flabbergasted. And it's almost like, you know, they say that in basketball, the NBA Knicks will get the first pick. It's the warm envelope you got to pick. Is this what they're doing in Formula One? Because how can Max still be in this? And it was a blatant error by Team McLaren. They looked like they were Ferrari for a little while there.
Oh, God. This is something Ferrari would do.
I know.
We actually haven't talked about the race since we both watched it, so this is our first official really reaction, but my God, they dropped the ball. It couldn't have been any worse. The only thing I can say to save kind of McLaren a little bit is being the two cars up front, you don't really know what the grid's going to be doing behind you.
That's exactly what Andre said.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you noticed when they were interviewing the drivers.
Oh, Oscar was.
Yeah, they were ready to go home. I mean, they didn't even want to talk about it. It was ridiculous. And they just said, the other teams made better decisions than our team made.
Well, I mean, it was clear that McLaren had the better car there. In the post-race interview with Max, he even said, I shouldn't have won this. This only happened because McLaren, you know what?
He just said our team made a different decision than their team did.
That should have been Oscar 1, Lando 2, and Max 3rd.
Well, no, Max passed Lando in the first corner. But it shouldn't have been Max, at the front. And am I glad it is? Yes, I am. Because now we get to go somewhere else in the desert and watch the finale of the season. At
least we have an incredible race finale of the year. I'm excited. I haven't been this excited to watch a Formula One race all year. So I'm pretty pumped about this one. And as we know, Max is in the contention for the driver's title. Oscar still has a chance, and Lando's just got to hold it down. But, I mean, the amount of pressure on Lando would be absolutely insane right now. And I don't know.
I think there's more pressure on the other guys still. I mean, it's, let me say it this way. I'd rather be in Lando's shoes than to be in Oscar's shoes or Max's. Well, maybe not Max's shoes. Max has nothing to lose, and he's having the time of his life out there again. He's having fun. Yeah. You can tell it. And he just loves the fact that McLaren's handing this thing to him. The DQs at the last race, and now this one here, it's just... I'm flabbergasted.
Something I realized during the race, because Ocon was actually having a pretty decent race start.
Who?
Exactly. His name hasn't even come.
We don't talk a lot about Ocon.
I don't even think we've mentioned his name the entire season, but
he
did have a good race.
We managed to fit it in.
I think we've talked about everybody now.
And we've talked about Ocon enough.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, enough fun for this week. Why don't you tell us about where we're going next week?
Welcome to Yas Marina, the most expensive Formula One track ever made, and the final chapter of the 2025 season. So we're here for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The circuit is 5.2 kilometers long, 58 laps, and 2 DRS zones. We're here at the high-speed playground wrapped around a marina full of super yachts, 5-star hotels, a Ferrari theme park, and a literal racetrack that threads underneath a luxury hotel. This is a track built for a spectacle. Sunset starts, floodlit finishes, and 2 monster straights that turn DRS into a weapon. But don't let the glamour fool you. This place has ended championships, broken hearts, and even rewritten F1 history. And this week, it closes our season.
And the cost was $1 billion. And that's expensive.
It really did cost $1 billion.
Yeah. So the interesting thing at Abu Dhabi is the fact that it's the last race since its inception. So there's been a lot of championships decided there. But probably the most controversial one was in the year 2021, and I remember watching it. And that's when Lewis Hamilton was in the lead and Max Verstappen had to beat him. He had to pass him in order to become the new world champion. And there was a safety car brought out at the end and some very peculiar decisions by the stewards on how to end the race. And I don't think Toto Wolff and Lewis Hamilton have ever gotten over this. And I can see it going back to that Felipe Massa trial that's about to happen in England from many years ago on Crashgate. I don't think 2021 is over yet.
No,
because that he's suing Ecclestone, my buddy, and the Liberty Media. He's suing them for, I think it's 56 million euros, and it actually made it to court. They've actually said, you have a case, we'll go to court.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure those guys want to put that behind him. It was definitely the turning point in his career, some say, but this is the track that it all went down on. And that was actually the year that they made some major changes to the track. So in 2009, Yas Marina was built in the middle of the desert. As Craig said, it cost $1 billion. These guys spent 24 hours a day working on this track for, I think, 2 years straight just to put something together. And I mean, it is an absolute spectacle. There's 9 hotels. There's a hotel called the W Hotel that runs over the circuit. It's completely lit up. There's over 4,500 lights that make this track possible to race through a sunset. It had to meet all sorts of regulations and standards for the drivers to not have all this visible glare and whatnot. Like I said, there's a Ferrari theme park that has the fastest roller coaster on it in the world. It's got everything. It is completely artificial, but it is unbelievable. It's a fun circuit to race on. I think Kimi Räikkönen was the first to come out and say it after they spent all this money and time building it, that it was shit and boring. So it took them 10 years, but they did update the track in 2021. They took out some of the hairpins and chicanes to give it more speed. And
well, at least you can pass there. And, I think you're with me on that. If you can't pass, it takes a lot of the fun out of it.
Totally. And if you watch last week's sprint race in Qatar, I mean, I was sleeping half the time.
So the other interesting thing that's going down on the final week, all we do is talk about the Drivers' Championship, but it's a big, big Sunday for the constructors. We know who's first and who's second, but number 3 is still up for grabs, Red Bull and Ferrari, and Williams is taken 5th. They're in 5th.
Hey, good for Sainz. What a race.
Yeah, good for Williams.
Good for Williams.
Williams has gone from 9th to 5th. And, they're very focused. They want to be champions again. They were champions before. They can be champions again, but it's not going to happen overnight. But, to go from 9th to 5th, I forget the exact numbers, but it's probably worth about another $50 million for the team.
For sure.
And $50 million in the team is a nice investment for them to improve their car. Remember, next year we're all in different cars.
And I think we mentioned it earlier in the season, but for Williams, I mean, who's their biggest sponsor? It's Duracell, a battery company. And what's the biggest factor in next year's racing season? Battery-powered engines. So I don't know, but I think Williams, with a little bit extra money, can really put this to use. I think they're going to be a big contender next year in 2026.
And while we're on Williams, it was 4 years ago this weekend that Frank Williams died. And Frank Williams was a huge influence in Formula One racing. Okay, Sean, I think it's time to get in your car and do a sim lap. And it's one of my favorite parts of our segment. What kind of car should we do today? Pick one. Don't take a McLaren.
No.
You won't finish.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to take Carlos Sainz, the Williams, for this week.
Nice tribute to Williams.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
Yeah.
We are here at Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi, heading into turn 1, the medium speed corner. Just taking the inside curve here. Now in a tricky high speed section where it's easy to lose control of the rear. We almost did right there. We prepare ourselves for a good line into turn 5. Breaking at that 50-meter board at the hairpin turn. Trying to keep it nice and tight here. Back onto the power early. We're looking for an optimal line down this straight. DRS is open. We're flying. Breaking at that 125-meter board, downshifting all the way to second gear. Off the throttle, back on again. using all of the track here on the exit. Another long straight here. DRS is open again. Braking just at that 50-meter board, taking the inside. Nice and easy on the throttle, just hanging on. Taking a tight line into the next set of corners here, straightening up the car. Braking hard here, down a second gear. Shift up to third, off the throttle. Back on, off the throttle, back on. We are preparing ourselves for the final set of corners here. And downshifting, just cutting the inside curve, back onto the power. That's a lap in Abu Dhabi.
Okay, Sean, thanks. I think usually now we go to the part where Sean takes us into the dungeon and shows us all the different things we should be doing in F1 Fantasy. But next week is the last week. You can't build your budget up anymore. At this point, you've been told for 22 weeks or whatever to make sure you use your chips. So I think you're on your own here. I'm sure you've got a couple of things to say, but you know what? Just whoever you think is going to be in the end, try and put them on your team. Good luck.
You couldn't have said it any better. It's not about building budget anymore. It's all about maximum points. And I hope you all had a great F1 fantasy season and you play again next year. We had a blast. We started off horrible, but we did climb back. I don't think we're going to catch CD in second, but I think just for the last week, let's take a look at the top drivers to pick and the best combinations. So let's jump right into it. Welcome back to the final F1 fantasy segment of the Drive Thru podcast in 2025. And this is our team going into the last week. We did pretty good. We ran limitless. It was kind of an off week to use it based on how everybody finished, but it is what it is. Our team in the background performed quite well. The only person that actually didn't make us money was Ollie Behrman and only lost us 0.2 million, which is pretty good considering we didn't make any changes. And this was our team from the week before. But as Craig said, this week budget does not matter. It is all about points. That being said, depending on how many transfers you have left, use them. Just ensure that you think you have your team set up in a way that's going to score you the most amount of points for this last week. I ran limitless, which resets your transfers. I should technically have 3 transfers because I only used 1 from the week before, but as we know, anybody who's played the game in the past knows that resets, and I only have 2 free transfers. I finally am able to make that 2 premium build I've been talking about all year long. Unfortunately, it took us 24 weeks or whatever to do it. So what that means for me is I can finally have a second premium driver here that's not Kimi Antonelli, although I do consider him a premium, and he's been great. So what we're gonna have to do in order to get somebody like George Russell up there is drop somebody who's reserving $9.3 million of our budget, which is Ollie Behrman, and we're gonna just drop Kimi Antonelli right now just to see what we're doing. And as we do every week, we jump over to the F1 Fantasy Tools website. And normally we look at the budget builder, but because budget doesn't matter right now, we are just going to be looking at the team calculator. And what I suggest everybody does is right here where it says maximum budget, type in what you have. The best way to find out how much money you have is go into your team and X out every single one of the drivers and constructors. And at the top, it'll tell you what your total team worth is. Mine's pretty good. I'm at 134.8 million. So I'm going to type that in here. We're just going to click off the screen. And as you'll see, it's readjusted to show me what it predicts the most amount of points would be for somebody who has a $134.8 million budget. And looking at it, it's pretty close to what we have right now. It's basically saying I should keep Antonelli in and Behrman and basically just move around my tier B drivers, put somebody in like Sainz. So like always, I'm not going to make my final decision until we've seen our practice sessions in Abu Dhabi. We actually get to see all the practice sessions. So I won't be making my final team selection until right before qualifying, because who knows, maybe Antonelli looks better than Russell this week. Maybe it's somebody else. But that being said, this is the squad we're going to run with. If you have any questions, please let me know. It's been an amazing season. We've had fun. We started off horrible, but we climbed all the way back to the top, and that's what it's all about. So looking forward to seeing you guys again in 2026, and good luck to y'all. Let's get back to the video.
All right, Sean, thanks for that quick tip. And as I always say, keep what you want and get rid of what you don't.
So it is the last race of the year, which means this is our last episode of the 2025 season. We had an absolute blast. Thank you all so much for following. Thank you for subscribing. We are about 10 subscribers away from 500, which was our original goal. And we definitely did it this year, thanks to all you guys. Stick around for 2026 because we have some big plans for next year. The studio that you see might change up a little bit.
So I think one of the neat things for me, first of all, I get to do it with my son. I'm flattered that my son wanted to do this with me. But I can't believe that I can be sitting in my living room and watching us on my big screen TV. And then finding through all the numbers I like to keep track of, there's about 40 countries that watch us. And
It is really cool.
For me, that's really cool. Like, I figure next year, if we keep growing, we're going to have to take Sharpies with us.
Yeah, we should. Thank you all so much again for tuning into the Drive Thru Penalty podcast. It means a lot to us. But before I shed a tear here, we're in Abu Dhabi this week.
We are.
Again, I'm not sure what we're going to get up to this week. We have hotels to check into and Ferrari theme parks, which...
Who's going to a Ferrari theme park?
We've
been watching that every week.
There's actually no line to get in, so maybe now would be a good time.
Yeah. Well, I think at this time, if you don't mind, I'm sure everybody's been wondering who that is behind you with the black and white shoes. And I would like now to expose our special guest who's been with us every week.
Oh, yeah, he's been a great support. And in case you were wondering, it is...
Kramer. Him and Bernie Ecclestone are my two big buddies.
They're probably buddies, actually. But thanks again, guys. We are in Abu Dhabi. See ya later.